on the promise to build 100,000 housing units in the next 3 years under the Renewed Hope estates in every state.
This project is the first of 6 we have planned across the nation's geopolitical zones. Each of these cities will include a minimum of 1,000 housing units, with Kasana itself set to deliver 3,212 units. In addition to this city project, we are also launching the Renewed Hope estate in every state, comprising 500 housing units. Our goal is to complete a total of 100,000 housing units over the next 3 years. This initiative is not only about providing homes, but also about creating thousands of jobs across the nation, as well as stimulating economic growth.
So how realistic is this initiative, and what is the federal government putting in place to expedite action? Managing Director, CEO, Federal Housing Authority, Olatunde Ojo, joins me from our Abuja studio. Mr. Joe, thank you for joining us on the program. Let's begin with the Renewed Hope City that Mr. President inaugurated some 6 months ago in Abuja. He says the project is the first of 6 planned across the country, with each having a minimum of about 1,000 housing units. What's the timeline for the completion of this project, and who will potentially benefit from it?
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. You see, basically, every Nigerian will benefit from this project, especially the middle and low income earners. And I can tell you on this program this evening that the project is going to go into phases with the ministry, which is the parent Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, the FHA, Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria. We also have the mortgage bank also being in the project, and we also have some private individuals who are also going to get funds from this project, which is called MOFI, the Ministry of Finance Incorporated. And it's not just only government alone, privates we also, who are qualified and who are reputable in the housing industry, will also be giving funds to cushion from what the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is doing, and also what Federal Housing Authority is doing. And I can tell you, like I said over time, the first thing is to acquire this land. The parent ministry has done that. Federal Housing Authority, we have done that. We've gone to over 28 states, 29 states by now, to acquire lands in various states to make sure we meet up with this target. And I can tell you that the first phase of housing units will be completed by God's grace in different geopolitical regions of the state. I'm talking about Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria. I know the ministry, it's also working tirelessly overnight. Every one of us are working seriously to make sure we do complete these houses in phases. And I can tell you that in the next 1 year, Nigerians will start smiling and will be able to deliver with the ministry. We've been given a target already. We should be able to deliver about 10,000 to 20,000 plus in the next 1 year.
All right. So we know about Abuja for now. Which other locations will these cities be located across the 6 geopolitical zones?
Thank you very much. We are picking 2 from each geopolitical zone for a start. We are doing Adamawa and Borno in northeast. We're looking at Ogun and Ondo in the southwest zone. We are looking at Kogi and Benue in the north central zone. We're looking at Rivers, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, even 3. I can tell you Calabar, making 4 in the south-south zone. And we are looking at Kaduna and Kano in the northwest zone. And I think that's the 6th zone, if I'm right. In the southeast, we are looking at Anambra and Abia. Those are the 6 places we are looking at.
Well, there's also the renewed hope estates in every state, which is to have about 500 housing units. It would seem that some governors have been given land for this already. But talk to us about who is funding it. Is it mainly a federal government project, or it's going to be in partnership with state government and private sector?
To be honest with you, the federal government is going to fund heavily. Just of recent, about 1.5 months ago, the Federal Reserve Council of Nigeria have passed close to 2 trillion from FEC on infrastructural funds, which include housing as its major priority in the funds, in which a lot of the funds will be given to housing. What's the purpose of this fund? We quickly have to also know, before we even get to the part whether the states are doing, whether the PPP is on, is to create jobs, which is extremely very important. You know, when you are doing construction, especially in housing, you can look at the chain of people that will be employed in all over the country. And like I've said over time, the inflation system will be going down gradually. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of a bit of patience. And I can tell you that Nigerians are going to enjoy. We are going to have kakas. That's, most houses will be semi-finished. 1 bedroom will be there. Studios will be there for our bachelors and speakers who cannot afford 3 bedrooms, who cannot afford 4 bedrooms. So, as we are saying right now, the private investors is also being joined on, which is the PPP. And like I said, in terms of housing, the need is over 20 million. It cannot be done only by the federal government or the state government. We also need the private hand. And all we benefit from these infrastructural funds by Ministry of Finance Incorporated. So it's the federal government doing its own, the state.
Yes. According to Mr. President, this initiative is not only about providing homes, but also about creating jobs across the country. Does that specifically mean that this project will be embarked on by local construction companies?
Oh, definitely we've said it. For Federal Housing Authority, and I know the Ministry of Housing, we said it that it will be given to locals, not just locals within Abuja. For example, Federal Housing Authority is situated in Abuja as its headquarters, but we've said that we will make sure that states bring contractors as well. We want the issue of local hands in these states, so that it's going to spread around the states. The money belongs to Nigerians. We will make sure 99.9% of this is given to locals, and there will be representatives from various states who are going to bid in. We want to make sure that we spread it evenly. I can be honest with you. If you come from Ekiti, you might not probably get a project in Adamawa. Let the Adamawa people give us competent hands. Let competent contractors submit from Adamawa. We want to do a project in Bayelsa. Let's get competent contractors from Bayelsa who are also going to bid in, and we'll make it wide open so that all Nigerians, irrespective of state, political party, or where you come from, you must buy. And people have been registering with us. As I can, to you now, we have close to 600 or 700 people showing intention, and we'll make it public in the next 3 weeks, where all Nigerians can submit all their documentations, and the bidding and the procurement starts.
Let's talk about the issue of affordability, because when we kickstarted this conversation, you said these houses are going to be accessible by middle and low-income earners. There are many abandoned housing projects across the country as we speak. Some of them fully built, but no one occupies them. What is government doing about this? What's being done to ensure that this project doesn't end up the same way?
Oh, thank you very much. For example, I will talk to you about Federal Housing Authority. Let me tell you one thing. You cannot build a house in a certain place without consultation. Though we are one in Nigeria, I keep saying we differ in culture, we differ in religion, and we differ in ethnic. And that's why in Federal Housing Authority, for example, we decided to embark on state tours, because these houses will be built in different states of the Federation. And we are in conjunction with every state government, not just by acquiring land, and also making sure when we build, we would make sure that most of the state governors using their statistics from the states, are particularly the off-takers. They know the people who are meant to be the major off-takers. So at the end of the day, we would make sure that once you are in synergy with these state governors, I can tell you the properties will not be abandoned. We have more than enough off-takers as I speak. The Nigerian Army is one of them. The Nigerian Navy, the Armed Forces as a whole, the police, Joint Admission Board, state governors. In short, we have too many off-takers in our hand that we cannot even, by now, say those houses will be empty. And people are ready to pay, even without us giving the price, because they know in FHA, we build social housing scheme for people. So I can guarantee you that these houses would be, will be fully occupied by Nigerians.
Hold that thought for a minute. We're due for a break and we'll be back with more after this time out. Stay with us, everyone. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. The goal of this administration is to complete a total of 100,000 housing units over the next 3 years. And how many have they completed thus far? And what is the Federal Housing Authority's strategy to achieving this? We're also considering how the FHA intends to collaborate with state government and private sector partners to deliver on these housing projects and precisely what role it will be playing in the implementation process. The Managing Director, CEO, Federal Housing Authority, Olatunde Ojo, is live with me from our Abuja studio. Thank you for staying the course on the program. Quickly, let's talk about the current housing deficit in Nigeria. An AFDB report in 2022 puts it between 20 and 22 million units. The UN is projecting that our urban population will grow by 50% by 2025. And they say we'll need to build about 700,000 new housing units every year to meet that demand. So we're going to need beyond the renewed hope city and estate. So what's the comprehensive plan?
Well, the comprehensive plan for us in Federal Housing Authority is to make sure we meet this demand, we meet this target. We know that there is serious deficiency in terms of housing. We know a lot of people are sleeping out there on the street, and we know a lot of people want shelter of their own. It is not that really there is, people don't have where to stay, but everybody wants to be a landlord. And I will tell you that's the major challenge. And in Federal Housing Authority, we would make sure we deliver as much as we can. Thank God for the cooperation of the state governor, I keep saying. They've given us massive lands, some state 150 hectares, some state 200 hectares. Some of them have paid, even for the encumbrances, for the compensation. Is now to move into site and start building the houses. And I tell you, most state governors even told us that if we need more, they are going to give us more land. And we will meet up. But like I said, it's a collaborative effort to meet up this figure of close to 20 million, 10 million. You can't do it alone. It has to be the state government, the federal government, the state government, and the private initiative.
Are we also paying attention to the rising cost of construction? The AFDP puts it at $800 per square meter. Is that something the Federal Housing Authority is working on to reduce this cost and make housing more affordable, especially for Nigerians who are interested in building themselves?
Thank you very much. We have already worked on that. Like I said, almost all the land given to us by the states were given to us free. Look at cost of the land first. In building, people just talk about putting structure up. They don't talk about the cost of the land. If care is not taken, cost of the land might take 30% of what you are going to build. And as we speak, those are one of the advantages we have. These lands given to us free in Federal Housing Authority. Secondly, compensation. In some states, you might end up paying up to 300 million, 500 million. This compensation majorly have been taken over by the state governors. Thirdly, we are also trying to talk to cement manufacturers, iron manufacturers and everything, so that those who will be procuring from them, they will be able to give us at a very discount price for most of the people that will procure for these projects. And the reason why we have to do this By the time you remove about 30% or 25%, which would have been embedded in the initial cost out from this, that is the reason why we said it will be affordable. And we are going to deliver on carcass. I've said it and I'll keep saying it. Semi-finish or carcass do not force finishing on anybody at this present time. If you decide to use a tiles of 2 naira, that's your business. If you decide to use a toilet of 50 naira, that's your business. Once we do the external infrastructure, we make sure we do the painting, the infrastructure on ground, the lights, the road, the water, and we do the windows for the external and the roofing. We want people to go and complete the internal finishing. It's the finishing that is always a problem. If you impose finishing on people, most people will not be able to afford. And that's why we in Federal Housing Authority says, after doing all this, we will allow Nigerians to go and do their finishing. And I can bet it with you, in the next 1 year, Nigeria will come back and thank the administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for this initiative. All what we've been saying is for them to be patient. I've said it on many TV programs, on many radio programs, that what they have to do is just to be a bit patient. Issues on ground have been on for over 30 years. The issue of housing deficit did not start today. The issue of other issues did not start today. And one man has said, I need to rebuild. You can't rebuild in 1 year what has been done in Nigeria. It has to take a process and a step. And that's why it's having the right people.
Well, break down for us, if you can, the acquisition process, because people are actually concerned about how middle and low-income earners can take advantage of these. It's hard for a poor man to actually pay for a house. And I think you mentioned that earlier, the fact that everybody wants to own a house. In Lagos, we've seen the rent-to-own scheme as a strategy to address the housing deficit in the state. What exactly is the strategy to get this category of people to be able to pay for these houses? Because it's one thing to build them, it's another thing for this category of people to be able to afford them.
Oh, well, thank you very much. One of the things we should realize in Nigeria, we've not reached a stage where government will provide free housing for Nigerians. That we must be honest. Now, in terms of affordability, I've said it here. Our target is even from level 02 to 06 down to level 8 of the ministry, either be you federal ministry, state ministry, local government workers. And that was why I will keep saying we started from the state governors. The state governors have the statistics of their workers. They have the statistics of the union in every state, be it market women, be it downfall drivers, be it this, be it that. And we also have been talking to different stakeholders in terms of different unions to make sure and to inform them of what we are doing, sensitization, to make sure when it's time, they can also partake. We will make sure these houses get to the low-income earners, and they would be able to pay. So far they can show means of livelihood or income, we would make sure it gets to them. We're
running out of time, but I want us to touch on the National Housing Fund. 31 years after it was introduced, the scheme hasn't really brought much respite to workers in the country. Last year, I think they were able to, just about 17,000 workers were able to benefit. That's out of about 16 million of them. I'm sure you followed the news how organized labor threatening to pull out due to poor access to the fund. These monies are being taken out from people's salary. They've also complained about poor management of resources. Is that a priority for the NHA?
Well, thank you very much. A couple of days or about 2 weeks ago, I went on a visit and my team to the Nigeria Labour Congress. And we had a meeting with the Labour President, in coupling of his executives as well. And we did tell them to please give us the benefit of doubt and trust, especially for this administration, about the social contrast. And we tell them we would deliver. And we will tell them we will work in synergy. And that's one good thing the Minister of Housing and Urban Development has been doing. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development has been making sure all sub-agencies under him and agencies under him work in synergy. You see, there's the issue of synergy in this game. If there's no synergy, we won't be able to achieve. Like you said, if I don't synergize, or we in FHA do not synergize with state governors, we won't achieve people living in these houses. And that's why we are very comfortable and we can beat our chest that after built, none of our housing will be left fallow on people not being at it. And secondly, with the National Housing Fund, remember that the agency have, Mr. President have newly appointed the heads of the agency, and we are in synergy, we are in discussion to see the way forward and to make sure that Nigerians benefit from the housing scheme. We are talking to Labour Congress. We are seriously talking and appealing to them to give a trust to this administration. So, Joe,
we have completely run out of time. You mentioned earlier that these renewed hope estates and cities will be available for Nigerians in the next 1 year. But as we go, why should Nigerians have confidence in this government in the area of housing? And precisely how can they apply, for these ongoing projects?
Well, thank you very much. Like you can even see, the viewers can see, these are abandoned projects since we came. The one you've been scrolling on your screen. We went there personally and we did make sure that we resume work immediately. That's about 336,000 units in Buhari, which is going to be a first class by the time we finish with infrastructure and everything. And we are going to commission that in December. We have the Akpo Gusape commissioning of close to 1,000, which we met on ground on a PPP, which also will be commissioned in December. And for Nigerians to apply, they can visit our website, www.fha.ng.nigeria. And we have other phone numbers they can access and everything. And we'll promise Nigerians, like the ones they are watching, sorry, excuse me 1 minute, the ones now, in another 1 or 2 weeks, we are going to put the sales on to the public. And I will personally monitor that it doesn't go into the wrong hands or the excessive capitalists.
That's our time, Mr.
Middle and earners.
We have to go now. Managing Director, CEO, Federal Housing Authority, Olatunde Ojo, thank you for talking to us on the program this evening.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. If you missed any part of our program, don't worry, we got you covered. Catch the repeat broadcast at midnight and again at 6 a.m. tomorrow. See you again. I am Nifemi